Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me for the first office hours that I have been conducting in the last 8 weeks. So glad to have you guys with me. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Taylor Craig, and I am a platforms consultant here at Kineo. For those of you who already know me, you know what that whole spiel is. I'm basically a fancy trainer. That's the fancy name for it. But that is what I'm doing. I have been out for the last 8 weeks on maternity leave, and I am now joined by my lovely assistant, Riley Craig. So today what we are talking about filters and where all they can be applied, what they are, and why exactly you might use them. So first things first, let's talk about what exactly are filters. Filters are inside of your system. They are at the system level, they're at the course level, and they're at the activity level. Some of them are going to work in conjunction with your HTML editor toolbar or your Atto toolbar. So anywhere where you can change your font, your size, those types of things, there's going to be filters that can be applied to that. Now there's also some other filters that are just kind of handy. You can link to activities and resources that are in the course without having to actually go in and highlight it and create a link. If you have that filter turned on and you have all of the exact same words, it's going to match, and it'll just automatically create a link. So it can create automatic links. It can display emoticons as images. If you have a need for displaying any kind of like mathematical type of equations for whatever reason, there are a few filters built in for that. There are also quite a few filters out there on Moodle.org that can be added to your site. Now that's not something that's standard, but a lot of these filters that all of the filters we're going to look at today are actually standard, but there are several other ones that could potentially be added. That would be the same situation as with any additional plugins to be added to your site. Our guys would need to take a look at the code, make sure they're cool with it, make sure it's legitimate, and then they can go ahead and they can add that to your site. Typically, if you find a filter that you like, go through your account representative, and then they would be able to help you out and get that taken care of. So enough of this stuff. Let's go ahead and take a look inside of a site. This is my sales demonstration site. Let me get logged in there. So I'm not actually logging. This is not a real client. The Smith & Jones, they're a fake client here. All right, guys, so let's talk about the first place where filters are located. So as you guys know, Totara has multiple different levels or multiple different tiers. You always start at the top, which is your system administrative level, and that particular level up there is going to turn on or make it available all the way throughout the site, right? So the first thing we want to do is come in here, go to Site Administration, and it is located underneath Plugins. And we're going to go to Filters and then Manage Filters. So these are all of the standard filters that are going to be on your system already. All of you should have access to them. Nothing has really changed between versions. So I'm looking at a Totara 9 site, but if you are on 2.9, 2.7, we've got some folks that are back on 2.5 as well. So if you're on an older version, these really haven't changed that much. They still do a lot of the same things. We just haven't talked about them yet. So different ones do different things. For instance, activity names auto-linking. So earlier I was talking about if you want to link to an activity in multiple different places in a course and don't want to have to create that link manually by hand every single time, turn this filter on and then just type the title exactly the same way. It's going to automatically link that everywhere it sees it. Multimedia plugins, that's going to allow you to embed some multimedia. So it also gives you, it actually gives you the little button to add in multimedia in the HTML editor. And we'll take a look at several of these and what exactly this little button that I'm talking about. MathJax, that's going to give you algebraic equations, it's going to give you all the symbols and all of that good stuff. Multi-language content is one that we see some people use from time to time, and what that particular filter will do is it will display the language based on the filter that you have chosen. Now, disclaimer on that, it's not going to translate language for you. You would have to type it in both languages into the system, and there is actually some code that goes along with it This filter simply allows it to read and basically say, oh, okay, Steve's using Spanish, so he needs to see this in Spanish. Now, that's a double-edged sword there. A lot of times people get super excited when they see that. And it just kind of depends. If that's something that you might have a need for, I'd be glad to talk to you a little bit about it in more detail after the call. But basically, some people really love it. Some people end up going the route of two different courses, one that's in English, one that's in Spanish. So totally up to you. Now there's several others in here. We're not going to really touch on them too closely, but you do have access to look these up. I have found the documentation, and I will put this in the comments on the YouTube video when I post it. But these are all of the different filters that are standard. This is actually Moodle.org documentation, and this is a Moodle side of Totara that we're seeing today. Okay, now a couple of things to pay attention to on this particular screen. When you are turning this on, you have three different options. You've got whether or not you're going to make it active. So on, of course, means that it's on. What that means is it's going to be on in every single course going forward. So if you create a brand new course, then it's going to be on, okay? Now, it's not going to be retroactive, so it's not going to go backwards and turn on in all of your other courses. So it's basically like any other site administrative setting, right? Then you have disabled. That's, of course, the same thing, just the opposite. It's going to disable it. But then you also have the option of off but available. So what that means is it's going to be available in the course for utilization, but you don't have to use it. And it's not going to automatically start linking stuff all over the place. So for example, with this activity named auto-linking, I may want to make that off but available. Just that way I can use it if I want to in my courses, or I can turn it off. So either way, but it's not going to automatically be turned on. Now here you can choose where you want these filters to apply. Do you want it to apply just within the content, or would you like it to apply to the content and the headings? So when I'm talking about headings, what I'm referring to is the topic headings in the course, okay? So it's just up to you as far as how you want to handle that, what you want to do, okay? You're going to notice a few of these do have settings. For example, word censorship. So if I go in here to settings on this, you can create your list of bad words. Now, one thing to note about this one, and typically we don't see this one used in a corporate setting, but it will block out parts of words. So really it just kind of calls attention to bad words, to be completely honest with you. But that's what that particular filter does. Another one that I really like is this glossary auto-linking. So I generally like to turn that one on. It's typically not turned on your site. But basically what this one does is it's going to, if you have a glossary inside of your course or anywhere else, and you have glossary auto-linking turned on, anywhere it sees those words that are defined, it's going to create a link. And then when you mouse over it, it will actually pop up a definition. Okay, just kind of like right there as I need it type of situation. Okay, so let's take a look at another location where these would be located, where you would turn them off and on. So I'm going to go down in here. I'm going to go into a course. So we will go into, we'll use this training course here. Now, underneath course administration, you're also going to see an option for filters. Okay, and so all of the ones that we had turned on at the system level, we now see them turned on here. Now, you're also going to notice that I had one of these turned off but available, so here we go. So we now have the ability to switch it on or off. Okay. And if you want to make changes, so say for instance you don't want to use glossary auto-linking in the course, you can turn that off, okay? And then just save your changes. Now there's going to be one other location where you can manage these filters as well. So let's go back into the course, and that's going to actually be at the activity level. So for example, if I go into this quiz and look at my quiz administration settings, there is an option for filters here as well. And this is a prime example of where you would probably want to turn glossary auto-linking off. So a lot of times you're quizzing individuals on the terms that they learn inside of that course. So if you have a list of terms in a glossary, you don't want them to have the answers at their fingertips. So you would probably want to turn off the glossary just in that quiz, but nowhere else throughout the site. So you have the ability to come in here and you can actually turn glossary auto linking off here. Okay, so let's take a look at kind of where some of these would appear. Some of these are going to work just kind of automatically. So activity names auto linking, that's going to be automatic. Glossary auto linking, that would be automatic. Multi-language content, that particular one does require some code. I will show you where to locate that. MathJax, that one's a button. Multimedia plugin is also a button. So let's go take a look at where those are on. And I'm actually going to turn activity names auto linking on in this course so that we can maybe see it in action. Okay. So let me just show you what would happen here. I'm going to throw in a label and add. Trying to remember the name of that quiz just then. I think it was example quiz. You know, I'm going to cheat. Example quiz course. Okay, it has to be exact. That's why I'm checking. Okay, so I'm not manually creating this. I'm going to save and return to the course. And of course it didn't work. Let's take a look. Let's see if the filter is turned off at this level. And it is. Okay. So my filter is turned off at the activity level. So I want it on. So that's what happened to us there. Hopefully that should work. There we go. So now I have it. I didn't manually create that link. It did it on its own once we made sure it was turned on. So as you can see, you can even turn filters off and on inside of a label. So lots of different places where these filters are and where they can be utilized. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to delete this so that I don't clutter up Tammy's course. And then let's take a look at some of the others. So I'm going to go into, we'll just go into this activity and take a look. So like I said, some of these are going to show up as what we would call a button in your HTML toolbar. So up here across the top. So this one right here, multimedia, this is going to be a filter. Okay, so if you were to turn that filter off, you would likely see that button disappear. The MathJax one, which is here, if you turn that filter off, you will lose that button in the toolbar up here at the top. Okay, so those filters will make some buttons appear, some of them go away. So the emoticons, if you were to turn that one on, you would get a little smiley face in your HTML toolbar so that you could click and select. So lots of different places for filters. Filters can be kind of handy. My personal favorites are those auto linking ones. Just kind of makes your life a lot easier. You don't have to manually create anything. And the one with the glossary is quite nice in the fact that it's just going to automatically give you that extra functionality to your course without you having to really do much of anything but turn on the filter. So guys, so glad to be back, excited to be back, and I will see you guys back here next week. I'm going to turn the floor over to you and see if you guys have any questions for me today.